Today I'd like to talk about something that might seem quite relevant. Typically I would choose such a thing, right? And today I want to talk about dealing with life's tests. You know, a lot of folks are struggling in one way or another, physically, emotionally, or have friends that are struggling. It happens. This is planet Earth, the asylum of the universe. And so, even though God creates us in its perfect and holy image, we have a second opinion. And so we could be experiencing heaven. Even on earth, we could experience heaven. We did. It was called Eden. It was a dimension where the entire material universe, the entire universe, was not yet as dark and as tense and as dense. That happened once upon a time. And that's why, the Bible gives us parables and metaphors and summaries. It's one thing people don't understand. That's why for so many years, people thought the world was created in literally 7 days, which it could be done in 7 days because there's no such thing as time. But the point is that the writers of many great teachings, and including the Bible, the writers used to summarize things. They would say it's kind of like this, just almost partly get it over with, just summarize it and get it out, and also to conceal how many truths and layers of truths are in each statement. So that's how deep it is. And that's why the teachings can be interpreted different ways. It's not this guy's got the right one, it's just some are the more loving interpretations, the more metaphysical interpretations, the more literal interpretations, and so on. So the universe was once this perfect place called Eden. We seemingly separated from heaven, from God, seemingly. But as it seems to have happened, we started journeying into a universe that's starting to be created. But that universe still maintained consciousness. As we fell further asleep, as we fell further into fear, the universe became colder and darker. Believe it or not, when we were still androgynous or spiritual or etheric beings, we didn't notice anything called coldness or night. We were the light. So wherever we were, there was light, which is described in Revelation, that one day we will go back to that consciousness and you will not need sun or moon, you won't need light, because you'll be that light. The light of God will be present. So in this sense, we had that. Now, in another sense, we still have it. It's still there, but not visible to judgmental eyes. You have to open this eye to see the light of God. It's not seen with eyes of duality, two eyes. As soon as you have two eyes, and perceiving the world, trying to perceive the world from a dualistic place, you're going to run into dualistic experiences. Before, it's not a matter of literally of two eyes. It's a matter of choosing to see dualistically. It's a metaphor. Why we even think we need partnerships. Why you believe in something called male and female. Those are all illusions. They're all just illusions that depict duality. At the end of the day, Eden is we're one. There's no need. You don't have hunger and fullness. There's no thing of duality. There's just being. I am. How are you doing? I am. And somebody say, I'm waiting for the rest of the sentence. You are what? I am. Because I am is actually a complete sentence. You could elaborate. I am, what else could I be if I am? I am is prosperous. I am is love. I am is peace and joy, and so on and so on. So, but human beings don't get that. No. Don't give me that I am new agey stuff. Fill it in. You are what? Because you don't look well. Say it. You're sick. I am this. I am, I'm sad. And, you can't get by very easily in this dimension, in this third dimension, planet Earth, trying to hold that spiritual consciousness. And then weird things can happen. Like, I don't know, maybe Saturn, Venus, and Mars going retrograde all at the same time. That didn't help. And this too shall pass, and it does pass. And then, those things are true. But what I really love about it is human beings will go from sleeping, which is, there's no such thing as astrology and planets and energies and whatever. There's no such thing. That's sleeping. Then you start to go, oh my God, this stuff does work. It does exist. But you could go overboard because the pendulum swings in the dualistic world and go, uh-oh, I'm not going out because it's a full moon. I'm not going to speak to anybody because Mercury's retrograde, and get away from me. Venus just went retrograde. That's too far. What's really incredible is when you start to wake up more and more, you realize this is all true. All the planets, all the stars, all the alignments, but they're all me. I'm Mercury going retrograde. I need to go back over things more slowly and get my communications down right. I need to look at myself. I need to look within when the moon is full. What's the moon? It's me. I need to look at that experience within me, how it mirrors, how it reflects. And somebody's going to say, you really do think the universe revolves around you. And then they're going to, oh, you must be one of those narcissists, because that's a popular word today. And you just say, yes, it does. Yeah. It'd be great to go back to mom and dad. Hey, remember you used to say, you think the universe revolves around you? Now I'm going to say, yeah, it does. I found out. It actually does. I am the universe. Like a great story of Ganesha, He's before the gods, and Brahma, and he's before the gods. And the father, mother god say to their son, because there's a competition between Ganesha and his brother, who's going to be given like the position of the grand, like the inheritance of the child of God, of God of gods and so on, and who's it going to be? And he's and his brother's like, I'm like lightning fast. I'm aware. I study. I'm working to be a great god, and. So they decide we're going to have a race. Ganesha and his brother are going to have a race, and whichever one gets all the way around the universe first and gets back wins and becomes the new, heralded god. And they start the race. Boom. First brother, boom, around the universe, shooting through the universe, around. And close to the time he'd be coming back, Ganesha gets up, Ganesha, he's like this size, and he's like getting up from sleeping yet again, and he just walks around his father, mother, God, sits back down and says, that's it. You are the universe. So almost like without going anywhere, I am. I didn't have to go anywhere to circulate around the entire universe. The whole thing is us. The whole thing is reflecting us. And we're being quite petty when we get caught up in the little stuff of life. In fact, it affirms that we are little when we get caught up on the little things of life. And then, as the saying goes, it's all little. It's all small stuff. However, I don't think anybody should diss you and when you're in pain and tell you, get over it, it's just small stuff, or it's an illusion, get over it. That's insensitive. And technically it's correct. In reality, it's correct. In this universe, it's not the right thing to say. When someone is suffering, just be with them. I'm sorry. You okay? You connect with them on a humanistic, humane level. That's what we're asked to do. I don't have to get into the extremes of this and that and duality in this world. All I need to do is what is happening right now before me. Like Ganesha, I don't have to go anywhere to understand what is needed right now to be God or goddess. I don't have to go looking for what that is or the tasks or the job. Right here. Krishna and other teachers have said the same thing. That whatever is happening around you right now is your test. That's your work. Whatever's happening right now, but nothing's happening. I'm bored. Oh, that's a nice lesson. What are you doing with that? Nothing, because I'm bored. I'm waiting for something. You missed it, And then there's other people. God, I wish I could just have some chill time. I'm so busy. Everything's just crazy. That's your lesson there. Isn't it amazing? Because we don't have to go anywhere to find our lessons. Wherever you go, there you are. It's all right here. In the most subtle things. And the most seemingly large things. Slight hunger pang. God, I haven't had lunch yet. Or it's before you. Whatever's coming up. And definitely the things that come up repetitively or dramatically repetitively. those are the things you pay most attention to. You don't have to nitpick. You don't have to say, oh, I just felt a little pebble under my foot. I better sit and meditate on its meaning. You don't have to. I personally would say, if you are noticing something a few times, start paying more attention. Or if it's dramatic, or both. But our lessons, our tests, what is the purpose to life's tests? And some people are going to say, oh, the purpose to life's tests, it's working off karma. Or they're going to say it's for growth. Or they're going to say it's God. God's, they're the mysteries of God. Some religions do that. When they can't figure something out, they just go, oh, it's one of the mysteries of God. And it's just kind of an odd state. Because really, if I am, there shouldn't be any mysteries. I'm not saying I should demand intellectual knowledge of each and everything that happens in my life. I'm saying that I can surrender and be open to it coming to me. What is the purpose to life's test? So get this. On one level, there is no purpose. Why am I going through this again? Why is it? And a divorce and an ending of a relationship, or a death of a loved one, or a sickness, whatever the challenge is. You can sit and say, I want to know the purpose to life's tests. Again, it's not that I'm saying it's supposed to be a mystery, but it also doesn't need to be disclosed to your ego, because it'll never be filled with a right answer. It'll just keep asking so that you remain miserable. So instead, somewhere in between is just stillness, is peace. It's called acceptance. So what is the purpose to life's test? Here's the answer. Everybody brace yourselves. The answer is there is no purpose. Oh, okay, now we've gone from miserable to completely miserable. Like, now you're telling me we're miserable, but there's no purpose to being miserable. That really helps, Michael. Thank you. We can get those kind of insights somewhere else. I was going to name a place or two, but what is there's no purpose. In God, there's no purpose. In God. Why? Because we are. We have never left God. In one level of consciousness, we've never left. You never came to earth that doesn't really exist to learn lessons that you don't really need to learn so that you can grow, considering you're a divine being. You don't need to grow. So on one level, but that level is not known to mankind. I'm just throwing it out there, that it's there. On one level, there's no... In other words, it's not God that says, like the old concepts of a God is doing this to you, God has put a curse upon you. That's some of the superstitions. No. It's never, ever, ever, ever been about God, nor will it ever be about God. Your problems. Because it's also not karmic, which means I'm saying you're not a bad person who has to have something happen back because you did it before. There is karma, but not in reality. It's in this dimension of what seems to be. So there's, let's call it a dimension of what is. God, I am, we are, so on. God is. It's perfection. There's nothing to learn. Some people get philosophical and say, well, God, and they even say God created us to go out like satellites to gather information and bring it back to what? Back to God. I thought God was everywhere. What is it bringing back to God? We're bringing you information you didn't know, God. Today I used a lead, tube pencil. And let me just describe it so you can gather that, like it's just some computer just, gathering, data. That isn't God. There's no consumptuousness to God. God is. So you can go and try. I've got something, probably God doesn't know about this one. Did you know, God, that there are certain vegetables that have sacred geometry in them? God's going to be like, hush my beak. Whoa. This is going to take me a minute. Hold on. Sacred geometry in the flowers of a whatever? The buds or the whatever the sprouty things on the veggies are. There's sacred geometry. There's nothing to report. But now I feel small. I've studied. I have a doctorate. Certainly God needs to hear from me. Least of all from you. No, I need no information. I am. And all the information is a compensatory thing of lacking love. When you are love, you have all you need, so there's nothing to learn. It's hard for human brains to understand that because we need to feel so special. Because of our inadequacies that we think we have, we need to feel special, so we want to create these systems. So now I'm growing. That person's not growing. I'm on the path. I'm not like them. I'm growing. There's nowhere to grow to, really. We are made in God's image. But, that said, that's one reality. In our reality, the first one's capital R. In our reality, lowercase r, okay, it's different. For a race of people that have forgotten their identity in the first dimension, we have a problem, Houston. We humans have seemed to have forgotten who they are, and we need a plan. And so we collectively created a plan and said, well, since we have forgotten who we are, we probably should come up with a way to gradually get home. And it's called evolution. Not biological evolution, but spiritual evolution. So you go from being asleep, not believing in spirituality, not believing in God, not believing in personal growth. Those are called sleeping humans. To people that start getting it. You start eating healthier. You start taking better care of your mind, body, and soul. You start praying and meditating and doing things. That's the easier path. It's not the easiest path. It's the easier. Easy path means accepting that God is. That's fine. But the easier path is righteous. So what is the purpose to life's test? In one sense, nothing, because we're whole. In another respect, what is the purpose? Growth. But not in the sense that we think. We think growth as though that's capital R real. It's growth for now. It's a program that we have entered just for now. That's all. It's like a person who's been trained at something for 30 years, hands-on, like say a carpenter, and then going and taking a test so that they could be licensed as a carpenter. But they totally know the work. They know everything about it. They were raised in it. They're fifth generation carpenters. They know everything about it. The test is a breeze. So why do the test? Because that's part of the game. And so we go through tests because we play the game. It's us putting ourselves through the tests. Our soul that we don't hear speaking, so then we think it must be God or fate or nature or karma. Just because we don't hear the soul, we forget that it's us. It's our soul that's saying, I've been noticing lately, we've got a little bit of fear of abandonment. In the meantime, the human self is like lights are on, nobody's home most of the time. We're not usually hearing the dialogue of the soul, but the soul is saying, hello, as I was saying, I think we're dealing with some, it could be low self-worth or a fear of abandonment, and the humans, watching TV or texting and so the soul says, I know what you need. You need some abandonment. Then you really won't miss it. I'm telling you at night in your dreams. I'm telling you left and right and synchronicity. You're not real bright, are you? You're missing all my signs and symptoms I give you. So I know just the thing, because the material world only brings things manifestedly speaking. It only manifests things when you've missed it on deeper, higher levels. The manifestation is only the last resort. We could have turned ourselves around while we were on our way from heaven to hell. We could have turned around at any moment. We didn't. Because the manifested level is for the densest of people. The ones that really need it to show up. Okay, wait. I get it. Oh my God. I get it. Now that I've had 10 divorces, I guess I have relationship issues. It needs to be really, really blunt, blatant for humans a lot of times to get it. Spiritual growth is not just like how many the books you read or how many memes you created or on your Facebook page. That's not your spiritual growth. That's just nice. One of the symptoms of the spiritual growth is learning to get things sooner. I can feel it. I can feel the low self-worth. I don't need it to manifest as another relationship failure. And I'm not going to judge myself if I have one fail because I know where to go with it. here to look within and see what's going on. That's spiritual growth. Responsibility. The ability to go, what's happening? That's why 12-step programs try to get you to do an inventory. So you start having a relationship with not your addiction as much as you're learning to have a relationship with your soul. When you learn to say, what am I doing? Where's this compulsion coming from? No sooner does one relationship end, I'm feeling anxious, like literally I start feeling physical anxiety for another one. It's called an addiction. I gave up one addiction, now I'm feeling call for another one. I'm in addiction. I'm not one of those, quote unquote, addicts. We're all addicts. Do you understand? An addiction means you feel an emptiness and you try to either stuff it or fix it with some external means that can't fix it. So as soon as you came to earth twice, you're an addict. Go to your friends. Hey man, how's it going? Not very well. What's happening? I just realized I'm struggling with addiction. Oh, some are going to be like, I've been there. Oh, AA, is it alcohol? No, And others are going to say, I don't even understand it, but I can see you're in pain. And addiction, oh yeah. What's going on? I've been here twice. And I still haven't found a solution. And I keep thinking coming back's going to do it. So we're addicted. I keep thinking someday I'm going to write a book, man, like 12 Steps from Planet Earth. I have thought about it. Yeah, right, go for it. Let's do it. So we all are going through tests in life. I'm saying, guys, even though I say it sometimes facetiously or silly ways I portray it, in God, those tests are not doled out by God. In God, we're already okay. I mean, and when I say okay, we're made in God's image. So we're doing all right. Spiritually speaking, we're all right. I don't mean this is all right. In consciousness, there's a part of us that's never left God. Where's that part? Believe it or not, since everything is within us, it's symbolized right here in my own upper centers. There's a part of me that does get it. Wow. A part of me that cannot be sick. It's a holy, holy part of me. And it is here, where it's up in the heavens. Up in the heavens. Oh my God, that's really nice to know. And as I learn to allow that, parts of my upper chakras are able to breathe life down into my other centers. And the glands in my upper body start to breathe life, the pituitary, the master gland, breathing life down to all the other glands. I just did a talk Friday about glands, just briefly, and it was the metaphor of the pituitary called the master gland being like God within us. And God speaks to the thyroid, which is the Christ gland, because that's the Trinity. The Father, Mother, God speak to the Christ gland and say, go upon the earth and bring goodness to all my people. And that's the thyroid that's supposed to bring metabolism, which means to deal with this world. Bring my love and into the cells of all my people. See, the thyroid, bring in the metabolism. Bring me into the world. But there's problems because we betray our Christ self. We betray that thyroid. We betray the glands, though the gland atrophies or becomes hyper or hypoactive. So the thyroid's trying to do this work, and it can't because we're abusing and betraying the I am presence. When I use my throat chakra to speak I am, and I abuse the I am of God, this is going to suffer. Every time I have come to believe that I'm less than God created me to be, spoke it, even repressed speaking it, it affected the I am within myself, the Christ presence within myself. And then that means the metabolism can't work and everybody else suffers. How can my heart chakra, everybody's all into heart chakra being opened. How can you betray the Christ presence and think your heart chakra is going to do well? You can go get the jaws of life and stick it into your heart chakra and try to force the heart chakra open. It's just going to destroy you in another way. This has to unfold. And it unfolds because it hears the light of God calling as it descends down into our hearts. It's, hello, beloved, good morning. Is that you, God? You know, like God's walking in the garden and Adam and Eve could feel, in the story, it's a metaphor, but they could feel God's presence. God, is that you? Yes, I've come to see you again. I love you, and so on and so on. The heart just opens because of who I am. And if I don't know who I am, the heart gets afraid and closes, constricts energy. Now, since everything is trying to flow down into my day-to-day life, spirit trying to manifest in my day-to-day life, how can it do that if my heart's closed? Because it restricted. It put up a dam with fear, doubt, lack. It shuts down. Now I've constricted from 100% of God's presence that could flow. It's down to, let's say, 50%. And then when it flows a little further to the next chakra, fear and anger of the solar plexus, the adrenals, fight or flight, it's going to constrict the energy more. It's going to flow down further to the navel center and its related glands. And again, it constricts because I'm emotionally off because of these other blocks and fears and so on. So it has almost nothing left to give me. So by the time we get to the root chakra, it's kind of like, oh, here, root chakra, your food for today, your sustenance. It's just this drop. And we wonder, how's your health, your vitality? That's all the root chakra. How is your finances, root chakra, health, vitality? How is it going to be doing well if everything else has been constricted so much it barely gets a drop of life force? So needless to say, I'm emotionally depressed, I'm mentally confused, I'm physically exhausted. And my glands are like, we're trying, because they're in charge of all of it. And they're working hard to kind of raise the bar, like to give some life, but they don't have any themselves. And that's the human condition. People are trying to go and run for president, and even if they think they could make changes, by the time they get there, there's nothing left. It'll wear you out like Obama got wore out. Because you're trying to fix a world that's messed up. And you don't have it. One person's glands, one person's mind can't fix them all because you're outnumbered. Jimmy Carter, man, he was a good guy, is a good guy, and he's proven it. He doesn't go around getting billions of dollars a year to talk as though he has something to say like some of these guys. Some of these, complete hypocrites, and they go out because it's all money. Jimmy Carter went out and built houses for poor people. And he still does it. He's involved right down to the hands-on. I mean, that's who should be a president. And it nearly killed him. Because you're outnumbered. So the goodness in us is outnumbered. It's a minority in this world. Now the good news is, remember, the real world, there's none of this. Our question is, how do I get the real world to anchor itself here? And that is where your tests come in. I wish I knew how to make a difference in the world. You do. Well, no, because I've got this going on. It doesn't allow me. That's what you need to work on. Whatever's in front of you is your obstacle to making a difference. Now, okay, fine. Then I'll set everything aside and I'll start working at that. Work on it from the little you, and it's going to wear you out. If you don't say, here I am, guide me, what would you have me do and not do, say and not say, you're going to run on your own reserves. And you don't have any. You don't have any. And that's, adrenal fatigue then, and atrophying of the thymus and the pineal, and so on and so on. We're outgunned, man. This world's heavy stuff. And that's why the suicide rate is high and high and high and so rampant and so surprising, and mental illness. And so, I've said this before, as much as our hearts go out to mentally ill people, they're the ones that get it the most. Because if you knew how messed up this world is, you'd become mentally ill instantly. They're buckling because they recognize this, wow, there's something wrong with this picture. And God is saying, you forgot me. Bring the I am. Speak the I am. Live the I am. When I am is God and it's love and it's peace. Don't say, oh, I know how to do I am, and then be hateful. Because the more you contradict the true I am, the more you're going to suffer for it. So the I am presence of God, it's like, I get it. This is why Jesus said, you better enjoy me while you can. Because when I'm gone, you're going to go through a very dark time. The apostles are like, what's he talking about? This is kind of cool. We're hanging out. We have this great teacher. I mean, this is really beautiful. We've seen him work miracles. It's quite beautiful. And he's like trying to explain, no, you don't get it. Get it while you can. I, as a teacher, can say that to you. Get it while you can. Absorb what you can while you can, because I will be gone. Jesus said, because I will be gone. And you can say to the people you're bringing love to, get it while you can. I'm anchoring the presence of God as much as I can, because there will always come a time where, whether it's the people listening go through doubts, fears, personal issues, they're going to eventually have to go through a dark night of the soul. And you can't do it for them as a teacher or a mother. You can't do it for them. They're going to have to go through it. So what we're doing is equipping them for that time. I would love to be able to say, I have children and you guys stay close and you'll never have any challenges. Keep them real close. They'll just become attached and that'll become a challenge. Keep them pushed away so they learn detachment. That'll become something. They're going to have something to learn. And that's their lessons. Everyone is here. There's ultimately no lessons, but on earth there seems to be. And remember, the operative word is seems to be. Don't say on earth there is, because in reality, by saying seems, I'm allowing, thank God, in reality, none of this has power over me. This is so weird. I mean, I'm trying to work on some 12-step codependent stuff after a relationship, and it feels kind of treacherous, but in the back of my mind, I'm going to remember, this has no power over me. My going through this relationship thing is ultimately to teach me that I never had to do it. I had it all the time. Oh, wow. I had it all the time. Then what the heck was that for? Don't ask. It's just, a journey without distance to a place you never left. I am and remain part of God. That can't change. My job, my seeming lessons on earth that we think are annoying, distracting, painful, which they are, in this dimension they are, in reality, they were all ways that I created to bring something to my attention where I was weak in my belief systems. In other words, if I was weak in the area of self-worth, the annoying people and issues are bringing those up. This is why Jesus is saying in A Course in Miracles, you will get to a point where you're grateful for those who have tested you. And it doesn't mean, oh, jeez, seriously? That person did this, and I'm supposed to say, hi, listen, I just wanted to thank you for all the, physical abuse and betrayal. That was really, that was great. Thank you. You're not being asked, because first of all, that's not true. And second of all, you'd be in more pain by believing such a thing. That's not what you're asked to do. What you're asked to do is realize, not literally call them. In here, realize you were reflecting things, my doubts, my fears. And it was a bummer that we went through this little thing that we went through. That's called learning the hard way. I could have actually gotten it without manifesting you. I don't tell them that, but, but it is kind of nice to know. This is so amazing. I don't need you. I really don't need you. Not because I don't want what you've done. I don't need you because I get how it happened and why it happened. I'm awake. Why would I talk about the dream images if I woke up and get the message of the dream? As soon as you interpret a dream, you have an epiphany, an aha, meditation, visions, and so on. As soon as that happens and you're in the excitement of oh my God, I got it. You're not usually going to go back and say, and what was the symbol in the dream? It was a bicycle and, and so on. I remember back in the 70s, I had a dream where I flipped my tricycle. I was seeing myself as a boy. Flip my tricycle backwards. Remember? We used to do this to the pedals, flip it upside down, and we were like, oh, I'm making ice cream, or, Okay, well, it was me anyway, so I did this. And I remember in the 70s, I had this dream about being back there doing this. And when I woke up, as I was awakening, it was like, so what did it mean? It was, and the message was coming, turning out churning out, turning out life, creations. This is about you're going to get more and more aware of how you are putting out creations. So I'm churning out, you see what I'm saying? And it's, okay, great symbol. Now, what's more important? The idea that I need to lock and load, I need to get ready, I'm starting to create more, I'm going to start putting out creations in the world? Or, what was the brand bicycle after all? And what color was that bike? You know, because the spirits on the other side, they're going, you've got to be kidding me. We gave you an epiphany and you're worried about what brand the bike is? And we've got to watch that. I'm not saying that things don't hurt, but I'm asking to not obsess on them. When you get it, if you're hurting, hurt. But also affirm, this too shall pass. Don't ever just get stuck or locked into the problem. You can see it, recognize it's there, ask what you can learn from it, and then prepare. Because after you ask what you can learn from it, you are becoming responsible and empowered, and you can start moving in a new direction. The dark night of the soul is never supposed to keep us in the dark night of the soul. There's light at the end of the tunnel. That's where you're supposed to be going. Well, I'll get there in a minute. I'm measuring the tunnel. Let me get a light meter. I'm measuring the darkness and the width of the tunnel, the height of the tunnel, the length of the That's not what you're actually supposed to be doing. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I'll get to that. And that's what we're doing when we're still caught up in the details of blaming, including ourselves. Picking on ourselves or others actually means, metaphorically, that we're taking side routes in the tunnel. I saw the light. Why would I turn right down another dark tunnel? I saw the light. Keep going towards the light. Be scared in the tunnel. Feel the coldness perhaps of the tunnel. Keep going. Feel what you're feeling, but keep going. It's the idea of not letting this world defeat us, because it can't. But when we're wearing down, it's like we're affirming that it can. But when you affirm that things have power over you, you're actually affirming that you're not as God created you to be, which is quite arrogant. Yes, I know God created me powerful, holy, and all I need to do is get centered and connect and change what's happening. I can get in the power of the inner master and change what's happening. And some people say, no, that's impossible. And that's because you could say they're worn down so much they don't want to believe that anymore, which is sad. But that too shall pass. But how many more lifetimes would you like to be, to have to live, to be able to get that epiphany? Well, I want 4 or 5 more. Well, then okay, because you have free will. I'm not telling you don't have other lives. I'm just saying there's an alternative. We can get everything here and now. And every moment is another now moment. Another test. What's this about? It's not coming from God. It's not coming from my being bad and having bad karma. It's not being created by other people. When I'm going through tests, my soul signed me up for it because it thought this would be a perfect way to bring to put in front of my face things that reflect my belief systems. Financial lack, a thought I don't deserve. Physical aches and pains, there's something behind it. Relationship issue, there's something behind it. Physical issues, financial issues, health issues, there's something behind it. It's a lesson. Always lessons. On this planet, that's how we live. And as I'm coming to a close, remember that when you see people going through these kinds of lessons, be present for them. Okay? Be present for them. Kind of half in there with them and half in God. Never dive into the problems with them. Oh my God, you're kidding? Oh my God, you're kidding me. Oh my God, that's terrible. Oh, that person's such a jerk. Oh my God. And on about the negatives and the fears. Careful. You can only go halfway with it. Oh, you're kidding. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Halfway. The other half of you is, and I know everything will be okay, but don't say that sometimes. Only say that if it's the right thing to say. How do I know if it's the right thing to say? Ask God. Just be guided. I'm not very good at that. You'll get better. What about the people I'm counseling up until the point I'd get better? Apparently they needed somebody who was only half aware. I mean, believe it or not. It's just, okay. That's what they got. It's not your fault. Everybody's in the right place at the right time in that sense. So be there for them. Offer feedback. Offer insights. Careful not to say too much of, I went through that. I this. Me. I me. Careful. You can, sometimes it's the right thing to say, do you mind if I share something? And share some personal feedback. Sometimes that's perfect. Other times it's not the right thing because they feel like, you're not there with them. Other times it's right to hear what they're saying and sometimes to change the subject and get them on the right track instead of obsessing on the fears and hurts. So it's all so interesting how to navigate this, but guidance is how you do it. And then remember, sometimes it's the right thing to offer affection, a hug, a hand holding, and other times it's exactly what they don't want. So whether it's presence or feedback or physical, like affection, just be open. How can I help today? What would be the right thing? One person says to you, oh my God, I just realized I have an addiction to something and I've got to work on it. And sometimes what you're needing to say is, oh yeah, I've noticed and I think it's courageous of you to do that. Other times you're going to say, we all do, so that they feel more normal. Other times saying we all do sounds like I'm washing it down. I'm watering it down and didn't allow them to speak that they're so concerned. It may sound like, oh my God, I don't know which thing to say. Just do your best to remain connected to God and ask. And then trust. At the same time, on the inside, those are outer things you can do. On the inside, watch for opportunities for your own lessons. Just because somebody's come to you saying, I'm struggling, I'm having life's tests, doesn't mean, okay, let me take off my shirt, because under I have a superhero shirt, big miracle worker man, and so let me get ready because I'm about to. Remember, when they come before you with something, it's usually also having something for you. Doesn't mean you have a problem as overtly as that person. And those of you who know, usually when I pray with people, even if you're the one, my life's all messed up, usually I'll use the words we. We are calling upon you. It's not, hey God, I got a sick one here. This one's really messed up. So you might want to send an extra few angels. Oh, you better throw in an archangel because that's how messed up they are. No matter what I think this person has, physical, emotional, any kind of challenge, life challenges, life direction, we. And some people have told me, oh, I don't agree with that. That's affirming that you have a problem. What you just told me is a problem. You're afraid. We're in this together. How can they heal if we're not one? And how will they know we're one if I'm going to not say we? Right? How are they going to know? It's we. We're in this together, guys. We're feeling a little such and such. They may be the person looking like they're afraid. They may be the person looking like they're ill. We're in this together. We're one collective mind looking like we're in separate bodies. I've said before, it's like the tips of the fingers and here's a veil. The tips of the fingers look like this guy's the healer for this one today. You remove the veil and it's the same being getting healed and bringing the healing. I stand and teach. I'm just a part of you that you believe is, if you like me, it's a part of you that's awake and teaching and you like it. But it's also it's something in you. It's a synapse that is awake and that's really good. If you don't like me, your job is the same. It's a synapse in your mind. It's something in your mind that you're seeing, a neuron rather. So you're just seeing a part of yourself reflected back. Like me, don't like me. Somebody at work likes you, doesn't like you. They're seeing parts of themselves. Why take it so personally? And it's easy to take things personally because people can say some pretty harsh things and do some pretty harsh things. It's hard not to take it personally. But something happens. A Course in Miracles describes when you learn that everything's connected and that you're all one, something starts to shift in you, and it's one word primarily. It's called responsibility. Not in the traditional sense, in the deep spiritual sense. And you realize nothing happens by chance. I saw a spider today and it was creating a web, and somehow that's a part of me. That web could be the spiders reflecting to Michael that he's creating more of a network by teaching. Kind of cool. And the web could also be what webs we weave. I need to ask myself, what is the web reflecting to me? And open my mind up to realize everything is reflecting something to me. I don't want to obsess and overanalyze it, but I need to open my heart and soul and be aware. Something's going on. What does it mean to me? It's quite beautiful, isn't it? And that means nothing happens by chance. And we get scared and we get upset because we go, now wait a minute, some things are pretty bad and I didn't do anything. Did the human race, did the Jews create the Holocaust? And you start going into dramatic events, and then you don't want to believe that it's true that we reflect things because you use examples that seem way too harsh. All I can say is, we created a Holocaust, not the Jews. We, part of us allowed it. Part of us was in it. Part of us is still experiencing it in our own little ways. It's all reflecting something. There comes a time, though, when we look at the world and we realize instead of, oh, look what you've done. Oh, you poor thing. You. We start shifting into we. And when we shift into we become more one. And in oneness, things heal. See, if I say, dear God, please heal that condition on planet Earth over there in that other country. You're separate from them. You can't actually work tremendous miracles because you just affirm separation. If you want to make the greatest differences, talk as a we. Father, Mother, God. Somebody calls and says, yeah, I live in, wherever, Saskatchewan, and I'm struggling with a certain, okay, I got your needs. I see what's going on. You sit. In this moment, Father, Mother, God, we. And you go into we. We're praying. I'm not praying for them. We're holding prayer. Because when two or more are gathered, that's the presence. And that didn't just become that wasn't meant to be just some magical formula for Christians to quote Jesus saying, two or more. It's a fact. As soon as there's two or more, there's less separation, which means more oneness, which means more God presence, which means less sickness or whatever it is. So you're bringing miracles and healing because you're actually living that the presence of God is. There's not as much mystery to it. So in all things, affirm and bring that presence. You'll see we've done this many times. Talks here and people saying, how did you know? I was dealing with this. You brought up a specific story, a specific topic. How did you know? And I don't sit there and... And then, this is God. God is, I am, we are. And so what happens when I'm doing a talk, and what happens when you are in your best space, we allow God to be, and then we get ourselves aligned, so we become aligned with God. Now something really cool is happening, but guess what? It's still only happening right here. Man, you wouldn't believe it. What day I'm having. God and I are doing really well. Sorry to hear about you. It's supposed to be God, self, and others. So in the highest moments, and when I'm teaching, it's God working this magic, but I also am part of it, choosing it, to be part of it, and to say what's coming and to do what's happening. I do that, but then I include everyone. So we are doing the talk. Because everybody, there's a feeling, a sense of, you see birds and butterflies come to the window, because they're like, hey, can I get in on this? Because this is inclusive. People watching online from around the world. Everybody's connected. Why? Because I said so. I'm in between when I'm doing a talk about spirit. That's my role. I'm here, supposed to be talking about spirit and so on. So that means I'm a bridge. You as a mom or dad are technically playing a role of being a bridge between God and them. That's what you're supposed to be doing, but often we don't. Anytime you're playing a role, a leader role, it could be a supervisor at work. You're not just an intellectualized, like a linear thing. I'm a supervisor. You're a bridge. It doesn't mean you preach God, but you try to hold the presence and shift something for the people under you as being a supervisor. So when I'm doing a talk, it's God and self, and we do this together. And so messages happen and people are going, how did you know? That's how brilliant it is, oneness is. If you're a counselor, you stop talking to your clients And you start understanding them because we're in this together. I'm not saying you take yourself down to the pain level. I'm saying you hold space between reality and illusion. And you bring anyone in the illusion to that space. The in-between space where awakening happens. When other people, Jesus says in the scriptures, people are going to get hurt sometimes in this world. It happens. Cling to God. Stay connected when you go through your tests. However, if you're the person who's causing other people their grief and tests, which we all have now and again in our life, some way too often, all you need to do, all you're asked is apologize and make amends. It's called repentance. That's what that meant. When you've screwed up, just own it, at least in here. You don't always have an ability to talk to other people about it. Sometimes talking to them can actually worsen the trauma. Sometimes you're the last person they want to hear from. Just do it in here. Imagine them being there and disclosing. I knew not what I was doing. I was coming from a place of fear, and I'm sorry about that. And I'm not going to wish I could make it up to you outside because we're not supposed to be talking right now. And then there is the restraining order as well. But there's that. But in my mind and in my heart, I'm apologizing. And watch, I'm not going to do amends to make it better. I'm going to imagine it. I'm going to imagine that everything that could have come from this has all been turned to light. I surrendered it to God. You are thriving. If I took money from you, I see you prosperous and thriving. If I took somehow health from you, I see you healthy. Just make amends in the best way you can. And if you don't, what I was saying earlier was Jesus was saying, when you cause harm to others, especially for some reason he's saying, especially children, meaning people that are getting, like children that are getting on the path and trying to find God, especially when you harm children, literally, but also it means it metaphorically. When you harm people who are trying to get their act together spiritually and you detour them, you are the one that tempts them to fall. You're the one that tempts them to doubt their growth. They can have, I've seen this happen where people have healings and then family members shame them. Oh, that healing you had, that holistic stuff, that's terrible, that's of the devil and all kinds of stuff. And then they start doubting and they get sick again. So, what Jesus says is, those who tempt and pull others down have kind of a special little karma for them. The way he puts it is, you're better off tying a rope around your neck and then rock at the other end and throwing yourself in the water. Meaning, you are going to judge yourself harshly when you realize what you've done. Someone was on the path and you made them detour off the path. Do not tempt an addict, to break their sobriety. Do not ruin, somebody's faith in God and tell them it's the wrong faith, even if you think yours is the right one. Many religious people are going to find themselves at the bottom of that lake, wondering how they got there, because they've shamed somebody else's path. One of the greatest wisdom lines ever spoken on planet Earth, whatever gets you to the light is all right, is all right. John Lennon. But anyway, you don't have to cause other people harm. So make amends and be done, be clean, be done, be over. And what we forget is that everything's all right. So when you're working with any other people, child, partner, clients, remember, if you think there's a problem, you've already affirmed it. The I am has already affirmed. I see that there's a problem, and I am is going to try to fix it. But it's not the I am, it's the I am not. It's the ego self. As soon as you affirm there's a problem, but you have 2 addictions. Oh, that's a tough one, Took me 20 years to get a grip on one. That means you'll need 40, and you're already 80, so you're screwed. Sorry, but... anyway. Is that how you would answer? No. I see this is what seems to be. Even in my prayers, I use the word seems at times to make sure that's clear. We seem to be struggling with, and then I surrender that to God. There's nothing that actually has power over us, and that's really great. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. And what that means is I choose to be the Christ on earth. How? Apologies and amends when I mess up? Absolutely. When I see others struggling, being present, sometimes affection, and so on, being miracle workers, being gentle, being loving, attentive, caring, but not in the enabling sense. Truly caring. We're in this together. What's happening? Oh, I slipped. Let me help you up. And you do that. And in real life, you can do that. And some people are going to say, well, why would you do that? I don't even know you. And I've been caught by surprise sometimes. I think, oh, that's right. I forgot. You don't know me, and this must look kind of strange for me to offer this or that. You pay somebody's bill at the grocery store sometimes, or whatever it happens to be. And you get so used to it, you forget that to some people it's absolutely surreal. Stay out of being attached to that, and just remember that I'm grateful that I get to be on earth to bring the difference for you today. Ultimately, we're all in heaven, but while we're dreaming that we're on earth, I'm glad I can be a happy dream for you. I being any of us who choose it. I'm so glad that I can be part of a happy dream today. I remember when I was a nightmare for some, you could say, and I'm going to apologize and make amends in here. And when you do that, it's done. You don't come back and karmically do it. You clear it now as it comes to your vision, as it comes to your awareness. So we dismiss the world of all the needs we gave it, all the rules we put on it at one time, and instead we get to experience it as it was meant to be. And then we return to Eden. And one day from Eden all the way home, heaven. Let's please take a few centering breaths. Setting aside all the stuff of the world. There's lots of stuff of the world. There's plenty of things that can distract us if we would like it to. But we just don't have to choose it anymore. Centering and calming. When we're in healing, we can hear the words, I am. And when we exhale, we can hear the words, at peace. And doing that a few times, just so we're centering, but we're not just centering, we're centering into something very powerful. Peace, which is of God. Quieting, quieting. And let's imagine for a moment. Symbolically, we're down on the earth plane. Not in the symbolic heaven up in the sky. Down on the earth plane. And just let your mind come to an awareness of half a dozen things perhaps, maybe more. The kinds of stuff that represent pain and limitation and struggle. Human condition. War and politics. Whatever comes to your mind are the things that you're supposed to bring light to. So let them come to mind. Interpersonal relationships. Sibling rivalry, hurtful comments. Just see it. Look to your left, your right, forward, behind you. Sickness, child abuse. Look at all the things. even if you have good intentions, we need to accept that of ourselves we are nothing. And we can't fix all that stuff as limited human beings. Me, the space I take up, height, width, and so on, this person can't fix all of them and all of it. You know the topics, they've come to you already. Spend just a moment asking yourself, in what ways have you already tried to fix those things? Well, I tried to intercede, I tried to do this, I tried to fix, I tried to protest. Look at all the ways you've tried to fix the world. Be honest about it. Including working on your diet to fix your body. Neither good nor bad, just see it. All the ways you tried to fix the world. Catch at least a glimpse of how futile that could be and what kind of an effect that would have had on you. Maybe exhausting, maybe creating tension. Too much. It's all too much. And even if I'm tempted to feel like I'm a failure, I'll see that clearly for what it is, but let's imagine that we're being drawn backwards a few feet, up onto a platform, or up into a higher space, to get a bird's eye view of the world. And imagine right now that we are etheric beings. More clear, not in the problem, not surrounded and oppressed by the problem, lifted up and drawn back a little bit. And we feel the presence of God right behind us. And instead of going and trying to fix the world, God, how would you have me fix the world? How would you have me do this and that and the other? And let's start with this. God's first response would always be, first, ask to see the world as I see it, without all the limitation and conflict. Surrender to me. Ask to see it all as I see it. So asking God what we would do does not mean just raising the bar of more doing. I don't know what to do and not do. So first let me change my mind. Let me change my perception. So take just a half a minute to a minute and imagine, what would the world and all its stuff look like if I were looking at it from God's eyes? And we will forever be able to hold this knowing that we can step back a little and closer to God and get guidance. But let's take it one last step. Let's go ahead and return to the world, the lower level, back to where all that stuff seems to have been around us a little while ago. Can you perceive any difference? If you're back in the world with all the stuff that goes on in the world, do you see it the same? Do you feel different? Do you handle it differently? What happens when you return to the third dimension? And that's going to be the biggest work. Connecting with God is somewhat easy compared to bringing God into a place that seems godless. And that's the work of miracle workers, light workers, healers, in the world but not of the world. Helping with issues that we know deep inside don't even exist. It's called knowing the truth but respecting the illusion. And then a couple centering breaths. giving thanks. Nice. Thank you. You're welcome. It's beautiful, yeah? So we're in a moment going to take up collection to do our closing song. And when you're making your donations, guys, just please be as generous as you can be. We appreciate it. Be as generous as you can be. And in a second, we'll do our prosperity prayer, but we're also going to continue and share some insights and feedback for a few more minutes, and then we'll be done for today. You know, today's talk is about dealing with life's tests. So I pray this has, approached you on a lot of different levels. And some of those levels will be conscious and some of them will not be conscious. I was starting off with astrological configurations and what a difference they make. And they're reflecting us. That's the beautiful thing. They're just reflecting us, so keep that in mind. There is a shift that's going on in the third dimensional world, and that shift is going to continue. The bad news with that is that shift is mostly going to continue going in the challenging direction because the old us is passing away. And that's usually not something we, enjoy or handle with such grace because of attachment. But the third dimensional world is fading. And therefore it's losing its grip. And as it's losing its grip, the ego loses its grip. And when it loses its grip, it doesn't like it. So it grabs harder. It fights harder. So that's going to keep happening. That's going to continue happening until we're done. It's not like 3 more days and we're good. It's going to continue happening. Whatever you didn't like in this world, politics and terrorist attacks, they're going to increase. That's the bad news. And it'll happen for years and years and years till it's done. The good news is, in our awareness, we'll become less connected to that energy. It'll have less of an impact, less of a threat to your heart and soul. And that's what we need. That's the way to neutralize the ego and the seeming evils of the world. You forgive them, they know not what they do. So the stuff that we're going through a lot, planetary dark night right now, that will fade. The stuff is going to continue changing till the end of our time. But there's cycles within cycles. And the one that's the dark night, that's going to start lightening up fairly soon. Not days, weeks, but fairly soon. And there'll be some lightning and some, a lot of people are going to take it for granted and think, oh, I'm glad that's over with. Now we're back to our distractions. Then you're going to attract it again. And that's partly what I meant by Jesus saying, enjoy me while you have me. Because he was telling us, when you have your spiritual epiphanies and insights and growth, grab it, soak it in, and make it become a part of you. So that you are at a higher level when the next challenge comes. Because it will come. So I'm looking forward, personally, to a little break from all the stuff that's been happening. But if it doesn't take a break, I'm also aware, my job is to be okay with that. And so is yours. That's our job. To not be attached to, I must have calm times. It doesn't work that way. So I'm grateful to be able to say to you, in the near future, a lot of these things that people are struggling with will shift for the better. But I would say to you, while we're still in hell, let's turn on the light. So while we're still going through it, let's not just pray and wish. Don't stay in your homes until the day that the darkness lifts. Go and bring the light to the darkness. It's not always easy. I do this work. This is what I do. This is what I do all the time. And still there's moments of like, oh my God. Wow, we've really done it, haven't we? Because there's so much, and people coming, deaths and suicides and sicknesses, and I get it. I do get it. And I'm grateful that I understand it to the level I do, and we all need to continue increasing our ability to understand it at a higher level. Improving our ability to also become better people, not act better, become being a better person, and awakening. Because the world that struggles is going to continue struggling. Be careful. Don't sweep yourself into one duality or another. Don't go excessive politics one direction or another and start buying into all the hate, the racism and all the hate, lack of poverty and all the fear with that. Be careful. If you do, you do. But then you've affirmed that's the level you're at, which is okay. But I'd like to see more and more of us rising to a level of being light workers and holding the light. You're allowed to have a bad day. You're allowed to have doubts. But come back to the light as soon as you can. Not to believe the stuff that this world believes in. Believe in God and only God. It's all that matters.